So it's very important that to become the man you want to be, you have to visualize it 100,000%. Everything is created twice in this world. Everything starts in the mind and then it comes into reality. Everything, every last bit of, we can name a million examples. Cars, it started as an idea. iPhones started as an idea. iPads started as an idea. I say iPad specifically because I have a couple of them, and I remember the whole vision. I hope it's either Steve, I think it's Steve Jobs. I always confuse Steve Jobs with Bill Gates. His idea of the iPad was having basically like a magic sheet of glass, and that's pretty much what it is, bro. It's a tablet. It's a to an extent like a piece of glass that you can just do so many things on. Everything starts as an idea. Everything starts as an idea. So it's very important that you do a lot of inner work. You do a lot of intense inner work, figure out who you are, who you truly want to become, and how to get there, and how you visualize yourself. But let's not beat around the bush. There comes a point where you got to act upon it. You can visualize, and visualization is incredibly important. I don't ever want to downplay the importance of visualization. But in order to reach that vision, that version of you acts a certain way, naturally. You know, let's say if you envision yourself, let's just say, making way more money than you do right now, way more healthier, way more fit in shape. Well, you're not going to be at home playing video games all day. You're not going to be at home watching porn all day. You know, naturally, you are going to change your habits. Naturally, you're going to work out. Naturally, you're going to be a hard worker. Naturally, you're going to be relentless. You're going to be ambitious. You're going to be driven. There's a lot of things that change with this vision, and you have to act upon those. You basically have to act along with your vision. Behave the way you envision yourself to be. Behave the way your vision dictates. So I'm not going to share exactly what my vision is, but I do have to act a certain way, and this is part of it. I was actually on my way to work right now, and you know, I'm listening to music, and I lately, the past few months, I've learned to just be very happy with myself. Not as in the sense that I don't ever have to work, or I don't ever have to do anything, but my self-love is no longer tied to anyone or anything. Because for the longest time it was. For the longest time it was tied to my physique. For the longest time it was tied to the girl I was with. For the longest time it was tied to my friends or my family. And obviously we love and care about these people, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but your love, who you are worth, it should never be tied to anyone or anything. It should never be tied to anyone or anything, all right? No matter how long my vision takes for me to fulfill, I will always be me. I will always be worthy. And the way I know that I'm worthy is because I'm alive. If I truly wasn't worthy, if there were no plans for me left, I would not be alive, I would not be awake. This not only applies to me, and it applies to you as well. So back on topic, you do have to begin acting a certain way. And for some people that may sound daunting, it really shouldn't. You really just got to reframe the way you see it. All right, the reason why you might think it's daunting is because it's something you're not used to. Well, that doesn't mean that it's scary. You may interpret it as scary. Whole time that rush of emotions you're feeling, it could be excitement. I'd reframe it as excitement that you get to finally step into the highest version of yourself. You get to finally step into who you truly desire and want to become. There's nothing to be scared of. Obviously, it'll be a bit uncomfortable because a lot of these things aren't something that you're used to doing. But that doesn't mean that it's scary. That doesn't mean that it's impossible. You got to reframe it as excitement, because that's for all we know. The way I see it, you will believe whatever you tell yourself to believe, within reason. Like, obviously, if I sit here and if I tell myself that the sky is red, I know the sky isn't red. But when it comes to anything, like when it comes to mindset and beliefs, you will believe whatever you tell yourself repeatedly. So even if someone else might interpret it as anxiety or being nervous or being scared, if I just tell myself I'm excited, over a long enough time period, I will truly believe that. And the same applies to you. You will believe that. Reframe your mind so that you are working in your best interest. You are no longer your number one enemy, because I know what it's like to be your worst enemy. That's the biggest problem I had with my life when I was younger. It wasn't anyone in particular. It wasn't anything in particular. It wasn't anything outside of me. It was all inside of me. I was my biggest enemy. I was my biggest roadblock. And I can comfortably say that I have made a tremendous amount of progress. Dare I say that I no longer, maybe I will, you know, our self-worth it's not something that just ends. Like, you don't just improve to a point where, boom, life is done, life is achieved. We don't stop improving until the day we die, or at least we shouldn't stop improving until the day we die. Every day we're awake is a chance to prove ourselves, a chance to improve, a chance to grow. And I can gladly say that ever since I've learned to no longer be my biggest enemy, I've learned a whole lot. I've learned a whole lot along the way, and I've grown much better as a person. And the point is, we must act with who we desire. We must act based on who we desire to become. All right? If I want to help out people who had the same exact issue I did, and if I want to make a career out of it, well, I got to record videos. You know, I was chilling in the car thinking whatever on my way to work, like whatever, you know, I'm chilling, I'm happy and whatnot. And that's good. I'm not saying that I shouldn't be happy, but I still do have to act along who I want to become, who I desire to be. It's exactly why I'm filming this video right now. And it's as simple as that. Not everything has to be perfect. You know, occasionally I might stutter or I might say, What matters is you act along. You act upon it, you execute. That's what matters the absolute most. Even if you think you shit the bed, the fact that you acted upon it. All right? It's one of the most important things you can do, because it's one thing to sit there and visualize, but if you're not acting upon who you desire to be, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. That being said, I'm approaching work very close, so that'll be easy. I'll have a good one.